think of The Rock, do you think of basketball, Dwayne Johnson, Alcatraz? Well, what about moon rocks? The actions of Thad Roberts and his fellow interns affect NASA, national security, and the FBI, all of which protect us and provide information on space exploration. Today I'll be going over Thad's early life, his time at NASA, the heist, the significance of the heist, and some insight from Thad himself. He grew up in a large Mormon family and got kicked out of the house and his church at a very young age. He majored in paleontology at the University of Utah. He became frustrated with how many fossils were being boxed and put away at the basement of the museum. According to the FBI.gov's story on the case of the stolen moon rocks, which I accessed on September 20th of 2016, he actually stole some and put them on display in his living room. He became interested in NASA. Thad applied to be an intern for the Johnson Space Center in Houston and got in as a life science intern. One of his profound moments in his life is when he walked into the visitor center and saw a painting, Opening the Space Frontier, The Giant Step by Robert McCall, a large painting on a very empty wall. He wanted to be the next man up there for exploration on Mars. Of 250 plus interns, he was one of the 2 life science interns. This made it really easy for some hands-on work. He became a daredevil at the Johnson Space Center. Thad went into the flight simulator without anyone catching him, and he made a contest among the interns about who could do the most risky thing at the Space Center. There, he found Tiffany Fowler, also a huge daredevil, who jumped off cliffs, and he fell in love with her after 3 weeks after meeting her. He said that he would give her the moon while he was still married to his girlfriend back in Utah. The original plan was Thad would take his van through security. It was raining a lot that night, so the guards let them in without checking the security authorization on their cards. They couldn't break in through the back door of Building 31. He eventually tried the front door scanning system and got in. They broke into Everett Gibson's lab easily. They planned to get into the Moonrock vault by secretly watching Everett type in the code in oil fingerprints. When they couldn't figure it out, they sold the entire 600-pound vault instead. The buyer for the rock's name is Axel Emmerman. He's a Belgian rock collector, and he became suspicious when Thad Roberts, under the name of Orb Robinson, told him about the lunar rocks for sale. He contacted the American police and was redirected to the FBI immediately. Thad planned to meet Axel's American sister in Orlando, Florida. While they were getting caught, they met Axel's sister and her husband at an Italian restaurant by the hotel where Thad and Tiffany were staying. The entire restaurant was secretly dined full of undercover FBI agents, including Lynn Bradley, who posed as Axel's sister. They left the restaurant to view the moon rocks at their hotel. 20-plus cop cars had blocked off Interstate 4 and multiple helicopters were in the air. Thad would be sentenced to over 8 years in prison, but he was let out on good behavior after teaching inmates about science. The significance of all this is that all the lunar samples that were collected have been exposed to oxygen, leading to contamination. Scientific trash, pretty much. 33 years' worth of Dr. Everett Gibson's handwritten notes were destroyed, including ALH 84001. The first rock recovered from Mars that proved biological life was once there. Mark Norman says in his April 24, 2004 journal called The Oldest Moon Rocks that initial formation of moon crust leads to the information on terrestrial planets. Gene Simmons states in the December of 1972 in a journal, On the Moon with Apollo 17, A Guide to Taurus Latrout, these important questions. How old is the moon? Where and how did the moon originate? What historical and psychological figures do the moon and Earth have in common and their differences? And what can the moon tell us about our solar system and the rest of our universe? Is there any evidence of past life on the moon, or in this case, Mars? I was lucky enough to have an email interview with Thad Roberts last spring. I asked him, what's his opinion on fossils and moon rocks, which could be potential learning tools, being kept in a safe or in a box? He replied, roughly 90% of it has never left that vault. The number of rocks leaving the vault for scientific testing has asymptotically dwindled to next to nothing at this point. So it's fair to expect that the vast majority of those samples will never do anything but act out the politically motivated role of an expensive paperweight. We could be giving moonrock samples away to spelling bee winners and be better off than we are now. The actions of Thad Roberts and his fellow interns have proven to affect NASA, national security, and the FBI, which protect us and provide information on space exploration. So next time you think of rocks, think of the significance of the moon rock heist.